The message came at 3 in the morning, Earth time. Admiral was sleeping in her quarters aboard the carrier ship Eternal Dawn when her communication device started screaming. She opened her eyes and knew something was wrong. The alarm was red. Red meant death. She sat up and pressed the button. The face of Commander appeared on the screen. His eyes were wet. His hands were shaking. In all her years of service had never seen cry. "Admiral," he said, his voice broke, "22B is gone." Felt her heart stop. 22B was a human colony. It was home to 80,000 people, farmers, teachers, children, old people who wanted to spend their final years watching alien sunsets. "What do you mean gone?" she asked. "The Empire, they attacked 6 hours ago. No warning, no demands, they just burned everything," wiped his face. "There are no survivors, Admiral, not one." Stood up slowly. Her legs felt weak, but she forced herself to stand straight. A good leader never showed weakness, even when her soul was breaking into pieces. "Show me," she said. The screen changed. Satellite images appeared, saw the colony from space, or what was left of it. The beautiful green valleys were now black. The rivers had turned to steam. The cities were nothing but ash and melted metal. 80,000 human beings had lived there yesterday. Now there was only silence and smoke. "Why?" whispered. "The Emperor released a statement," said. "He called it a lesson. He said humans were spreading too fast. He said we needed to learn our place in the galaxy." Closed her eyes. She remembered visiting 22B 3 years ago. A little girl had given her flowers. The girl had hair and missing front teeth. She had asked if she was a real space hero, had laughed and said she was just a tired old woman who flew ships. That little girl was dead now, burned to nothing by aliens who thought humans were insects. "Connect me to Earth," Command said. Her voice was calm, too calm, the kind of calm that came before a storm. 5 minutes later, Fleet Admiral appeared on screen. He was an old man with white hair and a face made of stone. He had led humanity through 2 wars. He had buried 3 sons. Nothing surprised him anymore. "I know," said before could speak. "I know everything. The whole planet is watching the news. People are crying in the streets. Parents are holding their children. The world has not felt pain like this in 100 years. "What are our orders?" asked. Was silent for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was heavy with something dark, something ancient. "They think we are weak," he said. "They think we have maybe 10,000 ships, 20,000 at most. They think we are farmers and dreamers who forgot how to fight." "They are wrong," said. "Yes, they are very wrong," leaned forward. "For 200 years we have been building, quietly, secretly, in places no one would ever look, asteroid belts, dead moons, the dark spaces between stars. We remembered our history, we remembered what happens when you trust others to protect you." Felt a chill run down her spine. She had heard rumors, of course, every officer had. Whispers about hidden fleets, secret shipyards, weapons that existed only in classified files. "How many?" she asked. Smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of a wolf showing its teeth. 500,000 warships, he said. All of them armed, all of them ready, all of them crewed by men and women who just learned that 80,000 of their brothers and sisters were murdered while they slept. His breath caught in her throat. 500,000. The number was impossible. The largest fleet in galactic history was the Armada, and that had been only 50,000 ships. What was describing was 10 times larger. It was not a fleet. It was an ocean of steel and fire. "The galaxy will panic," said. "Good, let them panic. Let them see what happens when you hurt humanity." Eyes burned with cold fury. "I am giving you command of the Third Fleet. 100,000 ships. You will join Admiral and Admiral. Together, you will show the what fear really means." And the civilians, the other species, many of them had nothing to do with this attack. "We do not make war on innocents. We are not like them. Our target is the Empire and only the Empire. Any species that stays out of our way will not be harmed, but anyone who stands with the will share their fate. Nodded slowly. This was it. The moment humanity had been preparing for without even knowing it. 200 years of secret building. 200 years of smiling at the galaxy while sharpening knives in the dark. I understand, she said. When do we move? The mobilization order goes out in 1 hour. Every hidden shipyard will activate. Every sleeping ship will wake. In 3 days, the galaxy will see something they never imagined. They will see humanity rise. Paused, his voice softened just a little. I know this will be hard. War always is. But remember why we fight. Remember that little colony. Remember the children who died without ever understanding why. Let their memory be your strength. I will not forget, said. None of us will ever forget. The screen went dark, stood alone in her quarters. Outside her window, the stars burned cold and distant. Somewhere out there, the Empire was celebrating. They were laughing at the weak humans. They were planning which colony to destroy next. They had no idea what was coming. Walked to her closet and took out her dress uniform. The one with all the medals. The one she wore for special occasions. She put it on slowly, carefully, like a knight putting on armor. Then she walked to the bridge. Her crew was already there. They had seen the news. They had cried and raged and broken things. Now they stood at their stations, waiting. Their faces were hard. Their eyes were dry. They were ready. Set course for the rally point, said, and send a message to every ship in the Third Fleet. Tell them the time for hiding is over. Tell them the sleeping giant has opened its eyes. She sat down in her command chair and looked out at the stars. They wanted to teach us a lesson, she said quietly. Now we will teach them one, a lesson they will never forget. The engines roared to life. The eternal dawn turned toward the darkness, and somewhere in the depths of space, 499,000 other ships were doing the same. The war had begun. The galaxy had many eyes. Satellites watched the stars. Listening stations captured radio waves. Spy ships floated in the void, recording everything. Nothing happened in space without someone noticing. So when the human ships started moving, the galaxy saw. At first, it was just a few hundred signals. Ships leaving stations and heading toward the outer rim. The watchers made notes but did not worry. Humans were probably evacuating their colonies, running away like they always did. Then the numbers grew. 1,000 ships, then 5,000, then 10,000. They came from everywhere. They rose from asteroid belts where no one knew bases existed. They emerged from the dark sides of moons. They dropped out of hidden stations buried deep in ice planets. The Galactic Council received the reports with growing confusion. This must be a mistake, said representative of the people. He was a tall creature with blue skin and 4 eyes. The humans do not have this many ships. Our intelligence says their fleet is perhaps 15,000 vessels. The numbers keep climbing, said the analyst. His voice was shaking. 20,000 now. No, wait, 30,000, they are still coming. Ambassador stood at the back of the council chamber. She was a small woman with short black hair and calm eyes. She had served as humanity's voice in this chamber for 12 years. She had smiled at insults. She had stayed polite when other species called humans primitive. She had played the role of the quiet diplomat. Now she was done pretending. Ambassador, said the council chairman, a fat creature called Prelate, perhaps you can explain what is happening. Why are your people mobilizing? Walked forward slowly. Every eye in the chamber turned to her. She looked so small compared to the giant aliens around her, so fragile, so harmless. 80,000 of my people are dead, she said. Her voice was soft, but it carried through the silent room. Children, families, old people who wanted peace. The Empire killed them all. A regrettable incident, said, but surely negotiation is the proper response. Violence will only make things worse. Regrettable tasted the word like poison. Is that what you call the murder of innocence? Regrettable. They had their reasons. Your species was expanding too quickly. They felt threatened. Laughed, it was not a happy sound. They felt threatened, so they burned bobbies in their beds. They melted cities to glass, and you call it regrettable. She looked around the chamber at all the alien faces. Some looked nervous, others looked bored. A few were smiling, enjoying the drama. For centuries, continued, humanity tried to fit in. We followed your rules, we paid your taxes. We asked permission to colonize worlds nobody else wanted. We did everything right. And what did we get? Mockery, insults, species treating us like servants, and now murder. Ambassador, please remain calm, said. I am perfectly calm, smiled. I have never been more calm in my life because I know what is coming, and I know you have no idea. The analyst's voice interrupted. He was staring at his screen with wide eyes. 50,000 ships, he whispered. No, 70,000 they are pouring out of everywhere. Hidden bases we never detected. How did they hide so many ships? The chamber erupted in noise. Species shouted at each other. Some demanded answers. Others screamed about the threat to galactic peace. Stood in the middle of it all, smiling. Representative grabbed her arm. His 4 eyes were wild with fear. Call them off, he hissed. Whatever you are planning, stop it now. The council will negotiate with we will get justice for your colony. Justice? Pulled her arm free. You have had 12 years to give us justice. 12 years of humans being treated like animals. 12 years of our colonies being raided by pirates you refused to stop. 12 years of watching our people suffer while you sat in this chamber and did nothing. This is madness. You cannot fight the entire galaxy. We are not fighting the entire galaxy, stepped closer to him. We are only fighting but let me make something clear. If anyone else interferes, they will share the same fate. The analyst spoke again. His voice was barely a whisper now. 100,000 ships, 200,000, the count is not stopping. Slammed his fist on his desk. This is impossible. No species has ever built such a fleet. Where did these ships come from? Turned to face the prelate. She looked like a tiny doll standing before a mountain, but her voice was steel. You asked where our ships came from. I will tell you. They came from fear. 200 years ago, humanity looked at the galaxy and saw a simple truth. Every species that trusted others for protection eventually fell. The strong always eat the weak, so we decided we would never be weak. She paused. The chamber was silent. We smiled at your jokes. We accepted your insults. We let you think we were harmless farmers who got lucky with technology. And while you were laughing at us, we were building, in secret, in the dark, in places your sensors could not reach. We built ships. We trained soldiers. We prepared for the day when someone would finally push us too far. Spread her arms wide. That day has come. The pushed. Now they will learn what humans do when they are pushed. They will learn why our ancestors survived ice ages and world wars. They will learn why we are still here when so many other species have died. 300,000 ships, the analyst said. He was crying now, still counting. A new voice spoke. It was the ambassador, a tall creature with silver scales and red eyes. He had been silent until now, watching with amusement. Now his amusement was gone. This changes nothing, he said. The Empire has 200,000 ships. We have the finest technology in the galaxy. Your human fleet is large, but it is nothing but numbers. Quality defeats quantity. Looked at him. For a long moment she said nothing. Then she reached into her pocket and pulled out a small device. She pressed a button. A hologram appeared in the center of the chamber. It showed a battleship, one of the largest classes in their fleet. The ship was floating dead in space, surrounded by debris. This ship was destroyed 3 hours ago, said. A single human frigate engaged it. The battle lasted 4 minutes. The ambassador's scales turned pale. Impossible. Our battleships are the most advanced. Your technology was the most advanced 50 years ago. While you were resting on your success, we were innovating. Every ship in our fleet carries weapons you have never seen, shields you cannot break, engines you cannot match. The final count appeared on the analyst's screen. 500,000 ships, he said. The mobilization is complete. Looked at the ambassador and smiled. It was the smile of someone who had waited a very long time for this moment. You wanted to teach humanity a lesson, she said. School is now in session, and we are the teachers. She turned and walked out of the chamber. Behind her, the galaxy descended into chaos. But did not look back. She had a war to win. The Empire had ruled their sector for 3,000 years. They had conquered 60 species. They had built monuments to their glory on 100 worlds. Their emperor sat on a throne made from the bones of defeated enemies. Emperor had never known fear. He had been raised to believe there were gods among insects. When he ordered the destruction of the human colony, he expected crying and surrender. He expected the weak little humans to beg for mercy. He did not expect 500,000 warships to appear at the edge of his territory. The first reports came from the border stations. Was eating breakfast when his general rushed into the room, his silver scales dripping with sweat. Your Majesty, General said, we have a problem. Problems are for lesser beings, replied. What minor issue troubles you? Activated a holographic display. The image showed a star map of space. At the eastern border, a massive red stain was spreading. Each red dot was a ship. There were so many dots that they formed a solid wall. What am I looking at? Asked slowly. The human fleet, Your Majesty, all of it. Stared at the display. His mind could not process what he was seeing. It was like looking at a swarm of insects, except each insect was a warship capable of destroying cities. That is not possible, he said. Our spies told us the humans had 15,000 ships at most. Our spies were wrong, or the humans fooled them. Either way, the count is confirmed. 500,000 vessels. They arrived 2 hours ago and have been sitting at the border ever since. Sitting, they are not attacking. No, Your Majesty, they are just waiting. Stood up, his breakfast fell to the floor, but he did not notice. He walked to the display and touched the wall of red dots. What are they waiting for? We do not know. We have sent messages, demands for explanation, offers of negotiation. They have not responded to any of them. The silence was worse than threats. Had dealt with enemies before. They always talked. They always demanded things. They always showed weakness that could be exploited. But these humans said nothing. They just floated there at the edge of his empire, like wolves watching a wounded animal. Send more messages, ordered. Tell them we are willing to discuss reparations for the colony, offer them credits, territory, whatever they want. Yes, Your Majesty. The messages went out, hours passed, no response came. On the human flagship, Admiral sat in her command chair and watched the communication console blink with incoming transmissions. 147 messages from the offers of peace, threats of destruction, pleas for dialogue. She ignored them all. Admiral, said Commander, the Emperor is requesting a direct communication. He wants to speak with whoever is in charge. I know what he wants, said. He wants to negotiate. He wants to find a way out of this without losing face. He wants to make this go away with words. Should I connect the call? Was quiet for a long moment. She thought about 22B. She thought about the satellite images of burned cities. She thought about 80,000 people who would never see another sunrise. No, she said. Let him wait. Let him wonder. Let him feel what our colonists felt when they saw his ships coming. Let him know what it is like to face death in silence. The fleet remained still. 500,000 ships floating in perfect formation, saying nothing, doing nothing, just existing, just reminding them that they were there. The psychological effect was devastating. On worlds, panic began to spread. Citizens who had cheered the destruction of the human colony now looked at the sky with fear. Soldiers who had boasted about superiority now checked their weapons with shaking hands. The economy started to collapse as traders fled to safer sectors. Emperor called a war council. His generals gathered in the throne room, their scales pale with worry. "We must strike first," said General. "A surprise attack on their fleet. Our weapons are superior if we hit them hard enough." "Their weapons destroyed one of our battleships in 4 minutes," another general interrupted. "A single frigate did that. A frigate. What do you think 500,000 of their ships will do to us?" "Then we retreat, pull back our forces and fortify the core worlds." "That will not work either. Their fleet is large enough to attack everywhere at once. We cannot defend 100 fronts." Listen to his generals argue. Each plan was worse than the last. Each option led to defeat. For the first time in his life, the emperor understood that he had made a terrible mistake. He had poked a monster, and now the monster was awake. "Contact the Galactic Council," finally said. "Ask them to intervene. The humans cannot be allowed to start a galactic war." "Your Majesty, the Council has already responded. They say this is a matter between the Empire and humanity. They will not interfere." "Cowards, when we were strong, they begged for our protection. Now they abandon us." "They are afraid, Your Majesty. Every species in the galaxy is watching. No one wants to be caught between thee and the humans." Slammed his fist on his throne. The bone cracked under the impact. "Then we stand alone. Mobilize every ship, every soldier, every weapon. If the humans want war, we will give them war." The orders went out. The war machine began to move. 200,000 ships formed defensive lines. Planetary shields activated. Ground forces prepared for invasion. But still, the human fleet did not move. 3 days passed. 3 days of silence and waiting. 3 days of watching the red dots on the border, wondering when they would come. On the 4th day, they came. Admiral gave the order at exactly midnight time. She chose that hour deliberately. It was when the enemy would be most tired, most vulnerable, most likely to make mistakes. "All ships," she said into the fleet-wide channel, "begin advance. Formation Delta, target the first line of defense stations." 500,000 engines lit up at once. The light was visible from planets 100 light-years away. It looked like a new star being born, except this star was moving, growing, coming closer. The border stations opened fire. Plasma beams and missiles filled the void. For a moment, it seemed like the human advance might stop. Then the human ships returned fire. The technology gap was immediately clear. Weapons splashed harmlessly against human shields. Human weapons cut through armor like paper. The border stations, each one built to withstand an army, lasted less than 10 minutes. Commander watched the battle data scroll across his screen. His hands were steady now. The crying and the grief were gone. There was only purpose. "First defense line eliminated," he reported. "No human casualties, moving to secondary targets." Nodded, "Maintain formation. No one breaks ranks. We move together, we fight together, we win together." The fleet pushed forward. Behind them, the burning remains of stations drifted in the darkness. Ahead of them, an empire waited to fall. Emperor received the news in his throne room. His scales had turned completely white. "How many stations lost?" he asked. "All of them, Your Majesty. The entire border defense network is gone." "Casualties?" 40,000 dead. The humans have not lost a single ship." Closed his eyes. In that moment he finally understood the truth. They had not attacked a weak species. They had attacked a sleeping predator. And now that predator was awake, hungry, and very, very angry. "Send another message to the humans," he said quietly. "Tell them we surrender, unconditionally. Whatever they want they can have, just make them stop. The message went out. The humans did not respond. And the fleet kept coming. The silence was the worst part. Captain of the destroyer Crimson Fang had fought in 12 battles. He had faced pirates, rebels, and alien. He had heard enemies scream in rage and cry for mercy. He had never faced an enemy that said nothing at all. The human ships came in perfect lines. They did not break formation. They did not chase fleeing vessels. They simply advanced, destroyed anything in their path, and kept moving. No taunts, no broadcasts, no response to surrender signals. Just death in absolute silence. "They are not stopping," first officer said. His voice was high with fear. "Our entire defensive line is falling. Why are they not stopping?" Watched his tactical display. Red dots everywhere. Each one a human warship. Each one moving with mechanical precision toward the heart of the Empire. "Because they do not want to stop," said quietly. "They want us to feel what their colonists felt, helpless, ignored, forgotten. We should retreat, fall back to the core worlds." "And then what? Wait for them there. They will not stop until they have taken everything." A flash lit up the viewport. Another ship died, its reactor going critical. Did not even bother to check which one. There were too many to count now. On the human flagship, Admiral watched the battle unfold on her strategic display. The fleet was in full retreat. Their formations had collapsed. Ships were fleeing in every direction, each one hopping to escape the advancing wall of death. "Admiral reports Sector 7 is clear," Commander announced. "Admiral has secured Sector 12, all primary objectives achieved." "Casualties?" asked. "7 ships damaged, no ships lost, 214 human wounded, 0 dead." Nodded slowly. The numbers seemed impossible. They were fighting a major galactic power, an empire that had conquered 60 species, and they had not lost a single ship. But it was not luck. It was preparation. 200 years of building the finest warships in the galaxy. 200 years of training the best crews. 200 years of developing weapons that made technology look like toys. "Admiral, we are receiving transmissions from multiple military frequencies," said. "They are begging for mercy, offering complete surrender, promising anything we want." "Continue jamming all non-human signals," said. "We do not negotiate with child killers." "Yes, Admiral." Stood up and walked to the main viewport. Outside, the void was filled with fire and debris. Ships burned like candles in the darkness. Escape pods drifted between the wreckage, each one carrying survivors who would never forget this day. "Admiral," said carefully, "some of the crew have questions. They are wondering, when do we stop? They are clearly defeated. Their military is broken. Continuing the attack will mean more deaths." Was silent for a long moment. 80,000, she finally said. "Admiral, that is how many of our people they killed. 80,000. Men, women, children, families sitting down to dinner, bobbies sleeping in their beds, old couples holding hands, gone in an instant because they wanted to teach us a lesson." She turned to face her crew. Every eye was on her. They had choices. They could have ignored us. They could have talked to us. They could have complained to the Galactic Council. Instead, they chose murder. They chose to burn innocent people alive. And now they want mercy. They want us to stop. Shook her head. "We will stop when we have made sure this can never happen again. We will stop when the Empire no longer has the power to threaten anyone. We will stop when every species in this galaxy understands that killing humans has consequences." She sat back down in her command chair. "Continue the advance. Target all military installations, shipyards, weapon factories, training facilities, anything they could use to rebuild their fleet." "What about civilian targets?" asked. "Do not touch them. We are not monsters. We do not make war on innocent people. Any ship that surrenders will be allowed to evacuate. Any planet that does not resist will be left alone. We are here to destroy their ability to make war, not to commit genocide." The orders spread through the fleet. 500,000 ships adjusted their targeting. Military bases lit up on their displays. Civilian areas were marked as protected. It was a distinction they had never made. They had burned everything on 22B without caring who lived there. The humans were better than that. Even in their rage, even in their grief, they held onto their humanity. Deep in the core worlds, Emperor watched his empire crumble. His generals were dead or captured. His fleet was scattered. His people were rioting in the streets, demanding to know why he had brought this disaster upon them. "There must be something we can do," said to his last remaining advisor. "Some weapon, some ally, something." The advisor, an old named, shook his head sadly. "There is nothing, Your Majesty. We have no weapons that can match theirs. Every species we ever conquered is now celebrating our fall. We are alone. Then we fight to the death. We take as many of them with us as we can. That will only delay the inevitable and cost more lives. Your Majesty, I have served the throne for 60 years. I have seen many things, but I have never seen an enemy like this." "What do you mean?" Pulled up a holographic display. It showed footage from the battles. Human ships advancing in perfect formation. Human weapons cutting through armor. Human crews working with impossible coordination. "Look at them," said. "They are not fighting in anger. They are not fighting for glory. They are fighting with cold, calculated purpose. Every move planned. Every target chosen for maximum effect. They are not trying to destroy us. They are trying to make sure we can never threaten them again." Stared at the footage. He watched a human cruiser disable a battleship without destroying it. He watched human marines evacuating civilians from a space station before demolishing its weapons. He watched precision strikes that left factories in ruins while leaving nearby homes untouched. They could have wiped us out, realized. They have the power to destroy every world, but they are choosing not to. Yes, because they are not like us. We destroyed their colony without mercy. They are destroying our military with surgical precision. We murdered innocents. They are going out of their way to spare them. Felt something strange in his chest. It took him a moment to recognize it. Shame. "We were wrong about them," he said quietly. "We thought they were weak. We thought they were primitives who got lucky, but they are better than us." "Yes, Your Majesty, they are." Closed his eyes. The pride of 3,000 years of supremacy crumbled away. In its place was only exhaustion and regret. "Contact the humans again," he said. "Tell them I will surrender myself personally. Tell them I will face whatever justice they demand. Tell them I am sorry, for what it is worth. Tell them the Emperor of the is sorry." The message went out. This time it was different. This time it was not a demand or a negotiation. It was a genuine plea from a broken ruler. And this time Admiral responded. "Surrender accepted," she said. "Prepare to receive our terms." The silence was finally broken. But the reckoning was just beginning. The surrender ceremony took place on the human flagship. Emperor walked through corridors lined with human soldiers. Their faces were stone. Their eyes followed him with cold hatred, but no one touched him. No one spat at him. No one called him names. The humans were disciplined, even in their victory. Admiral waited in the main conference room. She sat at the head of a long table, surrounded by her senior officers. Fleet Admiral was there too, having traveled from Earth to witness this moment. Entered and stopped. He had never bowed to anyone in his life. They did not bow. They were the ones who received bows from others. But today was different. The Emperor of the lowered his head. Then he lowered himself to one knee. The movement was awkward. His body fought against it, but he forced himself down until his silver scales touched the cold floor. "I surrender," he said. "Myself, my empire, everything I have. I place it in your hands and ask for mercy." Watched him kneel. She thought about 22B. She thought about the children who had died. She thought about all the anger and grief that had brought them to this moment. "Get up," she said finally. "We do not need you to kneel, we need you to listen." Stood slowly, his legs were shaking. "These are our terms," continued. "First, the military will be reduced to a defensive force only. No more than 1,000 ships. All others will be scrapped or surrendered to human control." "Agreed," said immediately. "Second, they will pay reparations to the families of 22B. Every family will receive compensation. This will continue for 50 years." "Agreed." "Third, you will release every species you have conquered. They will be given independence and the choice to govern themselves. The empire as you know it is finished." Hesitated 60 species, 3,000 years of conquest, all of it gone. "Agreed," he said quietly. "Fourth, you personally will face trial for the murder of 80,000 human civilians. The trial will be held on Earth, judged by human and neutral alien courts. If found guilty, you will spend the rest of your life in prison." This was the hardest term, had never faced judgment before. He had always been the one judging others. "Agreed," he said. His voice was barely a whisper. Leaned forward. "And finally, you will make a public statement. You will tell the galaxy what you did. You will admit that the attack on 22B was unprovoked murder. You will apologize to every human who lost someone. And you will warn every other species that if they ever think about harming humanity, they will face the same consequences." Looked at her. In her eyes he saw something strange, not hatred, not triumph, just exhaustion and sadness. "You did not enjoy this," he realized. "No," admitted. "We did not. We did not want this war. We did not want to build 500,000 ships. We wanted to explore the stars and raise our children in peace. But you forced us to become what we are. You made us show the galaxy what humanity can do when pushed too far." She stood up and walked to the viewport. Outside, the human fleet stretched across the void. 500,000 ships, the largest military force in galactic history. "We will go home now," she said. "Our ships will return to their hidden places. Our soldiers will return to their families. And we will hope that we never have to do this again." She turned back too. "But we will remember, and we will be ready. If anyone ever threatens our people again, they will face the same thing you faced. The galaxy needs to understand this. We are not conquerors. We are not empire builders, but we will protect our own, always." The surrender terms were broadcast across the galaxy. Every species watched as Emperor signed the documents. Every species heard his apology. Every species saw the human fleet begin its long journey home. And every species understood the message. Humanity was not weak. Humanity had never been weak. They had simply been patient, waiting to see if the galaxy would treat them fairly. Now the galaxy knew what happened when it did not. On Earth the people celebrated, not with joy but with relief. The war was over. Their fleet had won. But 80,000 of their brothers and sisters were still dead, and no victory could bring them back. In the Galactic Council chamber, Ambassador took her seat once again. The other representatives looked at her with new eyes, fear, respect, a little bit of awe. "The war is concluded," announced Prelate. His voice was careful now, almost humble. "Does the human delegation have anything to say?" Stood up slowly. She looked around the chamber at all the alien faces. Some had mocked her for 12 years. Others had ignored her. Now they hung on her every word. "We have something to say," she began. "Humanity came to the stars hopping for friendship. We came hopping to learn from older species and share what we knew. We came in peace." She paused. "We did not find peace. We found mockery and exploitation. We found species who saw us as servants and fools. We found an empire that burned our children because it felt threatened by our success." Her voice hardened. So we built. In secret, in darkness, we prepared for the day when words would not be enough. And when that day came, we showed the galaxy what we could do. Spread her hands. Our fleet is returning home. Our weapons are being stored. We want nothing from any of you except to be left alone. Trade with us. Travel with us. Be our friends if you choose, but never ever forget what we are capable of. She sat down. The chamber was silent. No one dared to speak. Finally, Representative raised his hand. The who had once demanded that call off her fleet now spoke with careful respect. The people wish to express our admiration for human restraint. You could have destroyed the completely. You chose mercy instead. We would like to open formal diplomatic relations and discuss a defensive alliance. Other representatives began speaking up. The wanted trade agreements, the offered scientific exchanges, the requested human protection from their enemies. Everyone wanted to be humanity's friend now. Smiled, it was a tired smile but genuine. We will consider all proposals, she said, but understand this. Our friendship is not for sale. We will not be your soldiers or your weapons. We are partners or we are nothing. Treat us with respect and you will have our respect in return. Threaten us and you will face the consequences. She looked up at the ceiling, as if seeing through it to the stars beyond. 500,000 ships, she said softly. That is what we built while you were laughing at us. And those are just the ones we showed you. Imagine what else we have hidden in the darkness. Imagine what we could build if we really tried. She returned her gaze to the chamber. So be kind to us, be fair to us, and most importantly, leave our children alone, because we will never ever forgive those who hurt our children. Learned that lesson. Make sure you remember it. The meeting ended. The representatives scattered to their ships, each one carrying the same message back to their. Do not anger the humans. Do not harm the humans. Do not underestimate the humans. Because somewhere in the darkness between stars, 500,000 warships were waiting, ready, watching. And if the galaxy ever forgot its lesson, humanity would be happy to teach it again. Admiral returned to Earth 3 weeks later. She took off her uniform and hung it in her closet. She walked to a small hill overlooking the ocean and sat down in the grass. The sun was setting. The sky was painted in shades of orange and gold. Somewhere below, children were playing on the beach, their laughter carrying on the wind. This was what they had fought for. This was what 80,000 people on 22B had died for. The right to live in peace. The right to watch sunsets without fear. The right to be human in a galaxy full of monsters. Closed her eyes and let the warmth wash over her. The war was over. But humanity would never forget. And the galaxy would never stop watching, waiting, wondering what the sleeping giant would do next.